हेलो दोस्तों, बिजनेस पॉइंट में आपका स्वागत है। और अभी हम कर रहे हैं इकोनॉमी का चैप्टर 3। इससे पहले 2 चैप्टर कर लिए हैं और 9th का कंप्लीट कर लिया है। तो नहीं देखा हो तो वीडियो पुरानी जाकर देख, ठीक है। चैप्टर नंबर 3 है मनी एंड क्रेडिट। मनी हैज़ अ मीडियम ऑफ एक्सचेंज। मनी क्या होता है? एक मीडियम है एक्सचेंज का। यानी कि क्या करेंगे, 1 किलो अगर शुगर ली तो उसके बदले में हमें क्या देना पड़ेगा? पैसा, ठीक। The use of money spans a very large part of our everyday life. Look around you and you would easily be able to identify several transactions involving money in any single day. Can you make a list of these? In many of these transactions, goods are being bought and sold with the use of money. In some of these transactions, services are being exchanged with money. For some, there might not be any actual transfer of money taking place now but a promise to pay money later. Have you ever wondered why transactions are made in money? The reason is simple. A person holding money can easily exchange it for any commodity or service that he or she might want. Thus, everyone prefers to receive payments in money and then exchange the money for things that they want. Take the case of a shoe manufacturer. He wants to sell shoes in the market and buy wheat. The shoe manufacturer will first exchange shoes that he has produced for money and then exchange the money for wheat. Imagine how much more difficult it would be if the shoe manufacturer had to directly exchange shoes for wheat without the use of money. He would have to look for a wheat growing farmer who not only wants to sell wheat but also wants to buy the shoes in exchange. This is both parties have to agree to sell and buy each other commodities. ये दुकानदार बैठा है, ये कह रहा है आई विल गिव यू शूज़ फॉर योर वीट। ये कह रहा है कि मैं तुम्हें जूते दे दूंगा, किसके बदले में? गेहूं के बदले में, वीट के बदले में। आई डोंट नीड शूज़, आई नीड क्लोथ्स। पर उसको काय की ज़रूरत है? क्लोथ्स की। तो ये क्या करेगा, कुछ पैसे ले लेगा 1,000 रुपये और इसको 1,000 रुपये दे देगा। ये 1,000 रुपये के बदले क्लोथ्स जाकर ले लेगा। This is known as double coincidence of wants. What a person desires to sell is exactly what the other wishes to buy in a barter system, where goods are directly exchanged without the use of money. Double coincidence of wants is an essential feature. In contrast, in an economy where money is in use, money by providing the crucial intermediate step eliminates the need for double coincidence of wants. It is no longer necessary for the shoe manufacturer to look for a farmer who will buy his shoes and at the same time sell him. Wait, all he has to do find is find a buyer for his shoes. Once he has exchanged his shoes for money, he can purchase wheat or any other commodity in the market. Since money acts as an intermediate in the exchange process, it is called a medium of exchange. Modern form of money. We have seen that money is something that can act as a medium of exchange in transactions. Before the introduction of coins, a variety of objects was used as money. For example, since the very early ages, Indians used grains and cattle as money. Thereafter came the use of metallic coins, gold, silver, copper coins, a phase which continued well into the last century. Early punch market coins, maybe 25,000 years old, that is Gupta coins, and that is Tughlaq coins, and gold mohur from Akbar region. Currency. Modern form of money include currency, paper notes and coins. Unlike the things that were used as money earlier, modern currency is not made of precious metals such as gold, silver and copper, and unlike grains and cattle, they are neither of everyday use. The modern currency is without any use of its own. Then why is it accepted accepted as a medium of exchange? It is accepted as a medium of exchange because the currency is authorized by the government of the country. In India, the Reserve Bank of India issues currency notes on behalf of the central government. As per Indian law, no other individuals or organization is allowed to issue currency. Moreover, the law legalizes the use of rupee as a medium of payment that cannot be refused in the settling transactions in India. No individual in India can legally refuse a payment made in rupee. Hence, the rupee is widely accepted as a medium of exchange. Deposits with banks. The other form in which people hold money is as deposits with banks. At a point of time, people need only some currency for their day to day needs. For instance, workers who receive their salaries at the end of each month have extra cash at the beginnings of the month. What do people do with this extra cash? They deposit it with the banks by opening a bank account in their name. Banks accept the deposits and also pay an amount as interest on the deposits. In this way, people's money is safe with the banks and it earns an amount as interest. People also have the provision to withdraw the money as and when they require. जब उनको ज़रूरत होती है तब वो निकाल सकते हैं, विड्रॉ कर सकते हैं, निकाल सकते हैं. Since the deposits in the bank accounts can be withdrawn on demand, these deposits are allowed demand deposits. Demand deposits offer another interesting facility. It is this facility which lends it the essential characteristics of money, that of a medium of exchange. You would have heard of payments being made by checks instead of cash. For payment through check, the payer who has an account with a bank makes out a check for a specific amount. A check is a paper instructing the bank to pay a specific amount from the person's account to the person in whose name the check has been issued. This is check pay Prem Kumar 57,000 इधर डेट और अकाउंट नंबर. यहाँ पे क्या होता है, बैंक ब्रांच कोड, ये चेक नंबर होता है और ये कोडिंग यूज्ड बाय बैंक्स. Thus, we see that demand deposits share the essential feature of money. The facility of checks against demand deposits makes it possible to directly settle payments without the use of cash. Since demand deposits are accepted widely as means of payment along with currency, they constitute money in the modern economy. You must remember the role that the banks play here, but for the banks, there would be no demand deposits and no payments by checks against these deposits. The modern form of money, currency, and deposits are closely linked to the working of the modern banking system. अब आ जाते हैं लोन एक्टिविटीज ऑफ बैंक्स. लेट अस टेक द स्टोरी ऑफ बैंक्स फर्दर. व्हाट डू द बैंक्स do with the deposits which they accepted from the public? There is an interesting mechanism at work here. Banks keep only a small proportion of their deposits as cash with themselves. For example, banks in India these days hold about 5% of their deposits as cash. This is kept as provision to pay the depositors who might come to withdraw money from the bank on any given day. Since on any particular day only some of its money depositors came to come to withdraw cash, the bank is able to manage with their cash. Banks use the major portion of the deposits to extend loans. There is huge demand for loans for various economic activities. We shall read more about this in the following sections. Banks make use of the deposits to meet the loan requirement of the people. In this way, banks mediate between those who have surplus funds, the depositors, and those who are in need of these funds, the borrowers. Bank charge a higher interest rate on loans than what they offer on deposits. The difference between what is charged from borrowers and what is paid to depositors is their main source of income. Two different credit situations. A large number of transactions in our day-to-day activities involve credit in some form or the other. Credit means loans refers to an agreement in which the lender supplies the borrower with money, goods, or services in return for the promise of future payment. Let us see how credit works through the following two examples. Festival season. It is festival season 2 months from now, and the shoe manufacturer Salim has received an order from a large trader in town for 3,000 pairs of shoes to be delivered in a month time. To complete production on time, Salim has to hire a few more workers for stitching and pasting work. He has to purchase the raw materials to meet these expenses. Salim obtains loans from two sources. First, he asks the leather supplier to supply leather now and promise to pay him later. Second, he obtains loan in cash from the large trader as advance payment for 1,000 pairs of shoes with a promise to deliver the whole order by the end of the month. At the end of the month, Salim is able to deliver the order, make a good profit, and repay the money that he had borrowed. In this case, Salim obtains credit to meet the working capital needs of production. The credit helps him to meet the ongoing expenses of production, complete production on time, and thereby increase his earnings. Credit, therefore, plays a vital and positive role in this situation. Swapna's problem. Swapna, a small farmer, grows groundnut on her trees, 3 acres of land. She takes a loan from the moneylender to meet the expense of cultivation, hoping that her harvest would help repay the loan. Midway through the season, the crop is hit by pests and the crop fails. Through Swapna sprays her crops with expensive pesticides, it makes little difference. She is unable to repay the moneylender and the debt grower grows over the year into a large amount. Next year, Swapna takes a fresh loan for cultivation. It is a normal crop this year, but the earnings are not enough to cover the old loan. She is caught in debt. She has to sell a part of the land to pay off the debt. In rural areas, the main demand for credit is for crop production. Crop production involves considerable costs on seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, water, electricity, repair of equipment, etc. There is a minimum stretch of 3 to 4 months between the time when the farmers buy these inputs and when they sell the crop. Farmers usually take crop loans at the beginning of the season and repay the loan after harvest. Repayment of the loan is crucially dependent on the income from farming. In Swapna case, the failure of the crop made loan repayment impossible. She had to sell part of the land to repay the loan. Credit, instead of helping Swapna improve her earnings, left her worse off. This is an example of what is commonly called debt trap. Credit in this case pushes the borrower into a situation from which recovery is very painful. In one situation, credit helps to increase earnings and therefore the person is better off than before. In another situation, because of the crop failure, credit pushes the person into a debt trap. To repay her loan, she has to sell a portion of her land. She is clearly much worse off than before. Whether credit would be useful or not, therefore, depends on the risk in the situation and whether there is some support in this in case of loss. Terms of credit. Every loan agreement is specific an interest rate which the borrower must pay to the lender along with the repayment of the principal. In addition, lenders may demand collateral security against loans. Collateral is an asset that the borrower owns, such as land, building, vehicle, livestock, deposits with banks, and use this as a guarantee to a lender until the loan is repaid. If the borrower fails to repay the loan, the lender has the right to sell the asset or collateral to obtain payment. Property such as land titles, deposits with banks, livestock are some common examples of collateral used for borrowing. A house loan. Mega has taken a loan of rupees 5 lakh from the bank to purchase a house. The annual interest rate on the loan is 12% and the loan is to be repaid in 10 years in monthly installments. Mega had to submit to the bank documents showing her employment records and salary before the bank agreed to give her the loan. The bank retained as collateral the papers of the new house, which will be returned to Mega only when she repays the entire loan with interest. Interest rate, collateral and documentation requirement and the mode of repayment together comprise what is called the terms of credit. The terms of credit vary substantially from one credit arrangement to another. They may vary depending on the nature of the lender and the borrower. The next section will provide examples of the varying terms of credit in different credit arrangements. वैरायटी ऑफ क्रेडिट अरेंजमेंट्स इसको पढ़ेंगे अब कल.